There's a lot of change around here now. Everyone should be patient while everyone's working through the changes. I have a new national ambassador now. I have a new ambassador in charge. The previous national ambassador is now the chief of staff for the Grand Ambassador. Parties have to grow into their new roles. These officials need time to grow into their new roles. Nothing complicated. It's as simple as that. So as a second generation Amexem-Empire national, again, you need to see how things work. So as you are going to be taken over, when we sit down and retire, you have context and you have perspective. All right, look at it like this. The Grand Ambassador's role is as an Imperial Council member. There's a vote there. The Grand Ambassador has another role, department head. The National Ambassador has a dual role. They are the solicitor for all the nationals unto the Imperial Council and the Amexem-Moor-Empire executive branch, the Constitutional-Monarch. They are second in command unto the Grand Ambassador. The Grand Ambassador is able to focus on the legislative agenda issues, and the National Ambassador makes sure that day-to-day operations are run on behalf of the Grand Ambassador. The Grand Ambassador is responsible, thus the Grand Ambassador is the Imperial Command Authority. All the command areas are run by ambassadors, and they report to the Grand Ambassador ultimately. They do that through the National Ambassador. They do that through the Ambassador in charge. The Ambassador in charge runs the department for the ambassadors. Locations, equipment, materials, and supplies. Things needed by the ambassador to do their duty, obligation, and responsibility. That is the responsibility of the ambassador in charge. Those appointed to be an ambassador, they are trained and they are overseen, supervised by the ambassador superintendent. So, the ambassador superintendent shows them how to be an ambassador, how to be an imperial envoy, how to be an imperial emissary, and make sure they're doing their duty, obligation, and responsibility. Directorate ambassadors, sector ambassadors, the regional ambassadors, district ambassadors, and lieutenant ambassadors, who are the local command area officials. All of them, their reports eventually make their way to the ambassador superintendent's desk. Their reports make their way to the ambassador in charge's desk. Eventually, those reports make their way to the national ambassador, and they provide analysis, after action reports, and things of this nature. The national ambassador will analyze the information and see that there may be trends or things worth looking at because they weren't handled at the district government level or the regional or the sector. National ambassador made recommendations to the Grand Ambassador, who also is the Imperial Council Deputy Supervisor, and to the Constitutional-Monarch, which happens to be me. In the service of all of you. Why not the supervisor, the deputy supervisor? Because the Minister for the Law and Justice is the Imperial Council Supervisor. The Grand Ambassador is the department head for the National Ambassador. So the National Ambassador will go to the Deputy Supervisor to request things be put onto Imperial Council meeting agendas or legislative agendas, and comes to me for the same. So Supervisor, Deputy Supervisor, and I will decide what makes it onto a council meeting's agenda before we convene. And the National Ambassador, as the solicitor for all the nationals unto the Imperial government, sees to it that their concerns get heard or dealt with directly by the National Ambassador. That's how we roll around here. to make sure everyone has honorable, right, and just government. Because the Grand Ambassador, again, has a dual role. The Grand Ambassador has a vote. The Grand Ambassador is also a department head, department for the imperial affairs and also departments therein. Ambassadors, Lieutenant Ambassador, they have a duty, obligation, responsibility that in the foreign venue folks would call mayor. District ambassadors, also called district governors, or Fari in the Wolof. Regional ambassadors or regional governors, Dendi-Fari in the Wolof. DARs are prepared by the district command authorities and handed over to the regional or Dendi-Fari. And they are attached to the RAR prepared by the Dendi-Fari, or in English, regional governor. Those reports go to the SARs of the Scepter governor, Sekemba-Wantua. Eventually, those reports make their way over to the national ambassador, who synthesizes everything. Now, I cannot tell the Grand Ambassador in his official capacity as an Imperial Council member what to do. In fact, he tells me by way of his vote. As department head, well, I do tell him what to do. Dual role. So, grasp all these things, because when we sit down and retire, maybe one day you become a department head.